Hello, welcome.
Thank you. I'm Mary Watson, Union address, 1817 Montague Street. I'm in the Lake Osborne neighborhood. The reason I came in tonight was I just saw this, and I saw land use regulations. I was very active about the referendum on the height, especially my neighborhood, the Lake Osborne neighborhood. And so I feel responsible to a lot of my neighborhoods and also myself. As soon as I see land development regulations, immediately I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on now? So that's why I am here. And it looks like I found out something in the interim with when Mr. McBoyer was speaking, that in fact, the referendum is in limbo, or has that been swept out the back door? What's, it sounds like we're doing a lot of great things here, but I like the small town character of Lake Worth. That's why I moved here, that's why I live here. And so I'm concerned about it, if this has anything to change with that. And I realize now they're two separate situations, but that's why I came here, to make sure that it wasn't treading on the referendum, that the people clearly stated that they wanted building heights.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Tim, followed by Christina Morrison.
Yes, Peter Tidwell, once again, I had the same complaint I had at the last meeting, that of the list of, on the back of this, because there was a big backup on it, on the last page it showed who would give the approval for all these things. And the city commission only had 6 that they needed commission approval for. Everybody else, everything else in there can be approved by somebody else. Once again, we elected you. We want you to represent us, and we want to know what you're representing us for. If it comes before this commission, then I'll know what's going on. If it goes before anybody else, I might not know, because I don't attend every meeting in the city of Lake Worth, so that you don't sneak everything by me. I depend upon these commission meetings to give me the information I need. And this is the place that I should be able to get it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Morrison.
Good evening, Ms. Mayor, City Commissioners. Thank you for having this hearing tonight. All of my comments pertain only to the Lake Worth Park of Commerce, which is west of I-95, not impacting the downtown at all. And thank you for having William heading up this division of your city. He's a great resource to our city. Thank you very much. My concern with the impact to the Park of Commerce is that it will slow down some of the processes and may negatively impact our ability to bring more companies to Lake Worth. There are several uses that had been permitted in the past are now on administrative, which incur correct me if I'm wrong, William, but a $500 expense, which is somewhat impactful. But an 8 to 10 day processing, which is hugely impactful when we're trying to bring a company and we're competing against West Palm, Boynton, Delray, all the other cities, and trying to bring it to Lake Worth. If the city's going to hold us up by 8 to 10 days, that's not going to help us bring you companies into the Park of Commerce. Just some of the uses that we are normally, we have been allowed to use. Let me just give you the difference. This is what we had in the past, which listed all the permitted uses very clearly, very concisely. And now we've got the inclusionary, which is broader, and then we have to refer to the chart, which is fine. But a lot of them are now administrative approvals and conditional approvals, which will greatly slow down the processing of us getting a company here. So if we could somehow, I know that the intent of this is to clean up part of the Park of Commerce, which is east of Boutwell, west of I-95, very down, run down, a lot of uses that shouldn't have been there in the first place that the city's trying to change. But most of the properties that we represent are in the Marlin Park of Commerce, which is a private industrial park within your city, which greatly regulates itself. So just if you could consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Waters, one of the things in reference to what Ms. Morrison just talked about, these cleanups were intended to, rather than come before the commission, some of these things could be administrative or managerial because they can come before you in a quicker fashion. Then they can come before us in the commission by the time it's put on the agenda, whatever. Sometimes it's months before businesses were waiting. This was actually meant to not slow down the process, was my impression, was meant to help facilitate and make things move faster. So could you clarify that, because I'm
Well,
concerned?
It has sped up quite a bit, and what is hard to explain is that many of the uses that Ms. Morrison mentioned that are by right in the old code were limited if they were near residential uses. We have taken that prohibition out, and that has sped it up too. But also keep in mind, the Commerce Zone District is very, very large, and she is correct that the east side is somewhat different than the west side, but once you allow a use, it's allowed everywhere. So what we're doing with the owners of the Marlin Industrial Park is actually crafting a site plan amendment to their site plan, which was approved at the county before it came into the city, to incorporate some of the conditional and administrative land uses within that as a global approval, which will go before the Planning and Zoning Board, hopefully in the next couple of months, and will speed up things for them, but the oversight will already have been done to ensure that nothing negative happens. We've been working with several of the owners out there to craft how this will happen, and Maxine DeCoste and Elizabeth or Beth Edwards in our office are working on that with them, and we hope to have an application ready to go before the Planning and Zoning Board, probably be in March.
Because I know that you had been working with them and we had had discussions about that, and I know from business owners in the Marlin Industrial Park that these changes change things quite a bit in regards to facilitating things on a quicker basis in regards to bringing in new tenants and whatnot. Okay. All right, Commissioner Amoroso? You're good. Vice Mayor, did you have something?
Is there any possible, yes, thank you, is there any possible way that we can cut down those days?
Well, I have told my staff to get us not into too much trouble. Please, under promise and over deliver. The longest that administrative land use has taken is 5 business days. We tell them as much as 2 weeks because it really is predicated on the information we get from the applicant. And it's the checklist is very clear. You provide us everything, we can get you an answer in 3 days. But we do have stragglers that only bring in half what we need. And so we do the best we can to accommodate everyone who comes in.
Follow.
So when somebody brings in their application with the checklist, does a member of staff go through that checklist and make sure right there, and then they know whether or not they have everything, so they don't have to wait 3 days to find out if they're missing something? So we basically say, look, here's a couple of deficiencies here, we need you to go in and see if you can shore that up and bring it right on back.
Right.
So if they can do that, then we can get it maybe in 3 days.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And moving item to 10C.